Hi, good morning, welcome to the Mavstar Observatory. Guys, I'm going to split this video up into two pieces. The first part is just, bringing some awareness to you other guys out there of the extraordinary efforts that some of the people are putting in, to supporting us to ensure our success at what we do at the Mavstar Observatory. And I'm pretty sure you know where we are with the project. So the second half of the video, we're going to dedicate that to where we are with the project of building these Muon detectors, what lies ahead for us, and some of the obstacles that we've got to yet overcome, and just the progress of where we are with that right now. And we might also cover where we are with the cloud generator as well. So guys, let's begin with these extraordinary people and the support that they have given. And I've got to start with, first of all, my fiance, who puts up with a lot from me. I mean, as you can imagine, a guy that gets up some mornings at 3 o'clock in the morning and starts soldering little electronic things together, then goes to work and then comes home and does that same thing again. My dinner is going cold whilst I'm intrigued to get these bits on the boards finished. As you can imagine, she puts up with quite a lot, so it's only fair that I give her a big thank you. And she has also asked me to just thank you guys for the support that you've given us this year to date. And the reason for that is because she sees me doing all this and she knows what effort I put in, and it's just great when she realizes that a few guys out there are actually behind me and supporting me. And this week she wanted to give at least a few of you guys out there a big thank you as well. So let's start then with a few names. First of all, let's thank these people on Patreon who month in, month out support us. Absolutely great that you do that, guys. And without you, we wouldn't be where we are now. In fact, if it wasn't for all of you guys supporting us, we would not be where we are now. And that we are a global observatory collecting data from the United States, Hong Kong, Australia, and soon to be Brazil, South Africa, and it will be likewise with the Muon detectors. So I am going to start with the most difficult name. For some reason I struggle to pronounce it, but I want to start with Alejandro. Is it Alejandro? I want to say a big thank you to you, Sue, Robert, Elizabeth, Judy, Scott and Luke. Great big thank you to you. But guys, a humongous great big thank you, and I'm going to explain. There's a couple of strange things first of all, but I'm going to explain what Bob and Kathy did this weekend for us to raise some money for our observatory. And Doug, you organised it with your partner, so a massive big thank you to you. Last week, if you guys remember, Douglas organised a barbecue pool party and raised some money for the observatory, and he got together with his neighbour Bob and Kathy, and they opened their home up, guys, for 22 guests. As well as their home, they opened up their wine collection and raised a whopping £1,111.11. And Douglas even spotted the synchronicity when he converted it from dollars to sterling. The ones was all there, and there cannot be any mistakes about it, that all those ones lined up one after the other. I think I took it immediately, like you did, Doug, as a sign, and I can't thank Bob and Kathy enough for what they did. I think it's an amazing effort that they went to help get some money towards supporting us on the build of these Muon detectors. So if I haven't mentioned your name, I am very, very grateful for what you've done. Douglas, amazing, outstanding, and I can't say anything else. And Bob and Kathy, thank you so much. But guys, I know you all realise the effort we put in, the efforts you put in, and everybody else's efforts that they're putting in, that what this is all to do is to inform people of something that most people don't even know about. Can you believe it? Only 1% of the entire world's population are aware of the critical circumstances in which we're all facing. And what we're trying to do here at the Mavstar Observatory is not only collect the data so that we can answer those important questions, it's also to, you know, make people informed about the time in which they're living. And we're going through some pretty unique times, as you guys know. We're going through a grand solar minimum, creating more cosmic radiation. We've got a planet going through a rare event. The last time, 780,000 years ago, this planet went through a magnetic reversal. Well, you know, within the last 100 years, it's doing that again. And, you know, we've got about 4 to 7 years before we hit that critical point where we actually, you know, take a detour from those strong field lines, which holds our magnetic poles in the locations, into the weak field lines, where they will then hopefully just reverse, or we may even find that they choose a new location to settle down on this planet. But we have seen the dramatic changes over the last 30 years as we've gone through this grand solar minimum, and we're going through this you know, increasing cosmic radiation caused by also the pole shift, you know, and the effects that it's going to cause. And, you know, we want to answer the questions, don't we? We want to know when the poles are going to start, you know, moving rapidly, and more importantly, how much radiation do we have inbound from, you know, out of our galaxies, out there in space, you know, that's actually coming through the weakened heliosphere. So Douglas, Bob, Kathy, and all you other guys, you know, that have supported the observatory, you know, absolutely outstanding, amazing. And, you know, both me and my partner want to thank you for, you know, just being by our sides. So let's get on with it, and guys, let's have a look at what we've got ahead of us. And there is a couple of risky soldering to do on these boards. I'm going to run you through it. I'm going to show you that we've had a couple of the scintillators, which is like a simulator crystal block that goes on top of the SIPM, which is the most dearest component. We're going to tackle this from a couple of ways, but let's get on with that so you can see, and I'll explain what we're going to do. So I just wanted to say, you know, big thank you to all of you that support it, and, you know, we'll do our best to continue doing what we're doing. And, you know, I can't be any more thankful than what I am, guys. Honestly, it's just amazing. Okay, let's get on with it. Scintillator, which is this crystal block here. We've got these delivered. The most dearest component of these three PCB boards that we've got to assemble is this one here, and this is where the SIPM gets soldered onto the CPB, and then we use some optical gel to bed the crystal scintillator on the top, and then that gets screwed down. We have to be very careful here not to over tighten the screws, otherwise we crush the SIPM. And, you know, if that is the case, then we just destroy a chip that has cost, you know, £88, I think it is. But I've identified a couple of the most riskiest parts on this CPB that we've got to solder, and these are them here. Try and keep my hands steady so I can just use this pointer to show you where the legs are of the component that's got to be soldered. So these 8 here is one of the most difficult parts that we've got to solder on there, and then we've got these ones here, which are even smaller and closer together, just here. There, as you can see, these 6. And you can see this is almost a very, very fine point. So, you know, I've got to make sure that the tip of the solder iron just touches the one that we want soldering, and that we can't have the solder touching any of the other components on there, because if we do, the unit won't work at all. We've got to put an OLED on so that we get the on-screen display showing us the amount of muons collected over the period of time, and then we've got to also assemble a couple of components for the SD card reader, and then all these get bolted together, and hopefully, if we've done our job correctly, you know, it should work. There's a few resistors, capacitors, where you can see all these points on here. Most of these get soldered, and there's also the heart of the operation, the Arduino Uno, which gets soldered onto some legs and then onto the board itself there. So we've got majority of the components now that we need, and we've certainly got some of the money now to get the rest of the components, like the more SIP-ons we can order more scintillators. Just building this board here, guys, is going to cost over £100 per unit that we build. We've got all the PCB boards that we need now. We've got 20 in total. I'm thinking about when we actually send these out, we send them out in pairs, and that's because the way the program has been written, you can either have the SD card collecting data or you can have the OLED displaying it, and I would like to get the both. I'd like the people that have them in their homes to see the information that's coming up on the screen, and I'd also like to be able to be sent the data off the SD card at least once a month so that we can chart the data as well. The reason why we can't have both with this Arduino is, I believe, because of the capacity of memory it's got, and to include both of them on there, I will look at the program myself, but I'm sure that MIT would have resolved the problem if they could have and had the both SD card and OLED screen working. But nevertheless, I've got the programs for the both, and we can have them linked in coinc mode, which means we put a 3-pin socket on the back of this here, where you can connect the two Muon detectors together. So one can record on the OLED, the other one can record on the SD card what we want. And by linking them in coinc mode, you also get a more accurate reading. Because these Muon detectors also pick up gamma, and we want to eliminate the gamma from the muons so that we get an idea of how much cosmic radiation is inbound. But as you can see, we are definitely moving forward. And don't forget, guys, we've only been doing this project now a month, and we've already got to this stage. We've got the reference, which tells us, when you look at this board, see all this white silk screen, it tells us what the parts are got to be on there, and it also gives us a little number like D2, R3, and then if we look at the reference, we can see what R3 represents. It might be a 10 hertz resistor, or 10 ohms resistor, or it could be a capacitor or another component, but the reference gives us the key to soldering the correct components on this board. So yeah, we've got the reference, we've got the programs for both the OLED and the SD card. We've got the Arduinos on order. We're going to order more SIPMs that go on this part, and more singulators, and we're going to be putting at least a few of these together over the coming weeks. So there's a lot of work to get involved with. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to build one first, make sure we've built that correctly, get that working. I'll show it you then, and then I'm going to build these in threes. So I just think it's better to do that. If I get out 6 resistors, that's got to go on each part of these. If I do them in threes and then go through the job in threes, we build 3 up at a time. It should take about 4 or 5 hours maybe to start with, and I might get that down after doing a few. I might get it down to probably 3 hours each, or we'll just see, guys. But I'm just pointing out some of the risks that we've got with these two components, because how close the legs are on the components. We can't afford to make any mistakes there. These aren't being built by robots, they're being built by me. And I've got to need a real steady hand just to solder just them tiny little points on those boards. But as you can see, this one is the most riskiest component there. But they've done a good job at MIT with the silk screen. You can see they've given it a little indication as to which way round the component's got to go on there by a little dot on all these areas. You can see another little white dot there. So they've done a fantastic job, first of all, designing this. This would have been designed on a breadboard, and then they would have given it to an electronic engineer who designs the actual PCB board, probably working on finishing his degree off in MIT. And again, they've done a fantastic job. They've made our lives a lot easier to copy these. They've not only done that, they've actually labelled what parts of the components are for, like on there, the peak detector, the amplifier circuit, and then the DC-DC booster, and then obviously our SIPM gets bolted onto here, then the singulators on top. We've got to wrap this in electrical tape, and it's got to be completely in darkness in order for it to detect just that faint light that comes through when a muon goes through there and detects it, and then it goes back through the circuit. So that's where we are, guys. I've got some more parts to order. Like I say, I've already been doing a lot of work on this. We've got the programs, both for the SD and the OLED, and we've got a few more components to order, and I'm hoping we'll have all this, all the components for these within the next couple of weeks or thereabouts, and hopefully, you know, within 3 weeks we'll have a completed and finished working Muon detector, and then we can go into manufacturing, you know, them all and sending them out to the locations where we're going to. But you know, we've also got another job that we've got to sort out. We've got to get those magnetometers out to Brazil and South Africa, and maybe even in the Falklands. Guys, you know, I want to just say also, you know, big thanks to everybody that is willing to take these on board, and a big thanks to all the people that have got the magnetometers out there already. You know, it's an amazing job what you're doing, guys. And you know, I think if we all continue, you know, putting these efforts in, you know, we're going to get some fantastic results out of them. And you know, at the end of the day, it's answering the questions that we want answered, that we don't get answered simply by these government mainstream organisations. But look where we are. Look at what we're doing. You know, we're working now with, you know, the same level of atomic physics as what they do in CERN when they're building their detectors. And you know, we've got the same equipment as what they use. We just don't have the budget that they've got, but it's not stopping us, it's not holding us back. You know, we are moving forward with this. And you know, guys, I just want to, before I end this video, just say big thank you to all those people and the efforts that they've put in. And once again, thank you very much, Bob and Kathy, for opening your house up to 22 people, you know, to raise some money for this project. Amazing. And Doug, thanks once again to you as well. So guys, I'll end the video there. If you want to become a supporter of our observatory and the projects that we're involved with, the link's down there. It's not mandatory. You've got a PayPal link, you've got a Patreon link, and you know, I don't have to say anything else, guys, other than one other thing, and that is have an amazing weekend. Sorry, have an amazing week. We've just finished the weekend, haven't we? So have an amazing week, and I'll catch up with you in a few days' time. And as always, bye for now.